Hey everyone, Bindu here for Crafty Meraki. Welcome to the Meraki Mini new release YouTube hub where I am joined by these incredibly talented ladies. For today's project, I am sharing with you a gorgeous Mini Slimline pocket shaker card. So let's dive in. Here are all the supplies that I'm using to make this card. I will link everything down in the description box below. I am starting with a Mini Slimline card base and a Mini Slimline size card panel. To make my card base, I used Neenah 110-pound cardstock and I cut it into 6¼ inches tall and 7 inches wide. I then scored it right down the middle to make it a 3½ by 6¼ card base. For the remaining supplies, I am using a bunch of cardstocks in various colors that I had in my stash. For the dies, I am using these new release Meraki Flora dies. The first one is called Chloe. The second one is Maya. This one is called Spade. And I am using two background dies. I'm using the latest Craft Around Mini Slimline die, and I'm using this die called the Parisian, which was released in the Meraki-versary release, but it cuts out a slimline panel and the stitching detail on the card. But I'm going to use this die for my Mini Slimline card today. So all I did was I took two card panels and I basically used one to cut out the Craft Around Mini Slimline die, and I added the Parisian Slimline die stitching detail on the second card panel. Essentially, I'm going to be using the Mini Slimline Craft Around panel as a stencil. You'll see here in a second. I am using my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station and I layered the Craft Around Mini Slimline panel on top of the stitching detail card panel, and I'm applying the Pink Fresh Studio Grassy Knoll ink through the card panel on the top. When I'm done, this is going to leave a nice green colored pattern on top of the stitching detail card panel. While I'm blending away here, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Jennifer McGuire, who is the reason why I came up with these Mini Slimline dies. Essentially, Jennifer asked me if I would consider making Mini Slimline dies, and I said, oh my goodness, that's a great idea. So I came out with some of our previously released die designs in the Mini Slimline size. There are some of our basics like nesting frames, scalloped nesting frames, this Craft Around die, which is one of my favorites. Some of our very popular slimline dies are also now available in the Mini Slimline size. So check it out. I'm going to link all the products down below in the description box. Also, don't forget we have $100 gift certificate to give away to one lucky winner. And I'll share all the details in just a minute. Okay, so back to my ink blending here. So like I said, I have a gorgeous pattern now on top of my stitch detail panel. I'm going to use this second panel on a different card, but for today's card, I'm using the Mini Slimline panel, which has the stitching detail as well as the ink blending background pattern. I am going to make a shaker card, so I have a piece of acetate that I cut out to be slightly larger than the card panel so I can fold over, and I'll show you here in a minute. Before I do anything else, I am going to wipe down my surface as well as the acetate so that I don't get any static cling and have unwanted debris in my card or the shaker panel. Alright, so now that's done, I am going to attach 3 sides of the acetate onto the back of my card panel. I'm going to leave the top open so that I can add my shaker bits. I'm going to take score tape and add that to all 4 sides of this card panel. Next, I'm going to carefully peel off the score tape and attach 3 sides of the acetate to the back of the card panel. I'm going to make a rough mark of where my fold line should be, and I'm going to score using my bone folder so that it becomes easier for me to attach the acetate to the card panel. I'm going to repeat this on all 3 sides, and I'm going to leave the top side open so that I can fill my shaker bits. Here's a fun fact. In case you haven't already guessed, the Meraki Mini release is all about Mini Slimline dies. And like I said, huge thanks to Jennifer Maguire for the idea. Follow the hashtag Meraki Mini on Facebook and Instagram to see all the inspiration that the design team has created using the products from this release. Back to my shaker card. So I have added some sequins to my shaker pocket, and now I am attaching rainbow die cuts that I made using the spade die, Meraki Flora die that I shared earlier. All I'm doing is I am randomly selecting colors of the Meraki spade die cuts, and I am just gluing them on top of the acetate. I've already added my sequins inside the shaker pocket, but now I'm just gluing on the Meraki spade die cuts on top of the acetate. I'm cutting off the excess bits from these die cuts, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue to make sure they adhere to the card front. It looks like a hot mess right now, so I am going to add more die cuts to cover up all the mess that I made. I am using Meraki Chloe Flora dies. I am using 2 shades of purple, and I glued them on simply at the bottom. I felt like my shaker card needed more sequins, so I added a few more sequins and I closed the top part shut using the score tape that I had added. I'm adding tiny dots of glue on the backs of these die cuts so they stay put on top of the acetate. I'm not gluing the entire die cuts, I'm just adding tiny bits of glue. Now I'm ready to mount my shaker panel on top of the card base. I'm adding score tape once again to my card base this time so I can attach the shaker panel directly on top of the card base. I am making sure to carefully align the shaker panel on top of the score tape, and I'm making sure it's attached evenly. Once I attached the shaker panel on top of the card base, I felt like 2 of those purple flowers wasn't really cutting it for me, so I went back and I added another die cut in pink cardstock using the Meraki Chloe die. Last but not least, I am adding a sentiment on top of this shaker panel. This sentiment is from the Elegance stamp set, which was released in Merakiversary. The dies that come with that stamp set also cut out the sentiment. So I had a bunch of sentiments already stamped and die cut, which is perfect because now I can just simply mount it on to the top of my shaker. And there you have it, Mini Slimline Shaker Pocket. Let's talk about the giveaway. To participate in the giveaway, all you have to do is leave a comment on each stop of this YouTube hop for your chance to win $100 gift certificate to the Crafty Meraki store. The more comments you leave, the more your chances are of winning the gift certificate. I hope you'll join us on the hop, and I hope you enjoyed my demo today. I'll see you again soon. Until then, stay happy, stay crafty. Bye!